Thousands of people around the world learn English, but only a few become fluent. Why? Because most people keep memorizing words, while smart people understand the psychology of speaking. They defeat their fear before they even learn grammar. And this is the secret no school has ever told you, that English is not just a language, it is a state of confidence. And today, I'm going to make you feel that state. Picture this. You're in a room full of people. Everyone's speaking English, and you're standing there, frozen. Your mind is racing through verb conjugations. You're mentally translating everything. And by the time you finish the translation, everyone's already moved on to the next sentence. You feel invisible. You feel stupid, even though you spent 5, 10, sometimes 15 years in school learning English. This is the moment that destroys most English learners. Not lack of vocabulary, not bad grammar, but the moment when you realize that knowing English and speaking English are two completely different things. I know this because I've seen it happen thousands of times. People with perfect grammar on paper who can't construct a single sentence in real conversation. People who ace English exams but freeze when they need to order coffee in an English-speaking country. But here's what's interesting. Have you ever noticed something about Cristiano Ronaldo? The man plays football at the highest level. His opponents are the best in the world. And yet, when the moment comes, he doesn't think about his footwork. He doesn't analyze the physics of the kick. He doesn't calculate angles and trajectories. He just reacts. His body has learned to respond so automatically that his conscious mind gets completely out of the way. That's the difference between a great player and an average one. It's not more knowledge, it's instant reaction. And here's the shocking truth about English fluency. It's exactly the same. Most English learners are trying to play football like they're doing a mathematics exam. They're trying to calculate and think and verify every single word before they speak. They're playing in slow motion while everyone else is playing at normal speed. And that gap between their thinking and the real world, that's where confidence dies. The moment you understand this, everything changes. Because fluency isn't about knowing more words. It's about your nervous system learning to respond in English automatically. It's about your brain rewiring itself so that English becomes your reaction mode, not your translation mode. Think about it. When someone speaks to you in your native language, you don't think, you just respond. The words come out without any conscious effort. Your brain has been trained for years to respond instantly. English learners don't have that advantage. They're trying to force it, and the forcing is what breaks the flow. I met a man once who had lived in an English-speaking country for 2 years. He still couldn't speak fluently. Why? Because he was still translating. Every single conversation was a mental gymnastics session. He would think in his native language, translate to English, then try to speak. By the time all that happened, he was already 3 sentences behind the conversation. But then something changed. He stopped trying to be perfect. He accepted that he would make mistakes. He accepted that his grammar might not be textbook perfect. And the moment he accepted that, something magical happened. His brain started to relax. And when his brain relaxed, his mouth could finally speak. That's when fluency started to happen. Because here's what nobody tells you in school. Your brain is actually scared when you speak English. It's scared because English is not your natural response mode. It's scared because you might make a mistake. It's scared because you've been trained to be accurate, to be correct, to know everything before you speak. But real fluency lives on the other side of that fear. Real fluency is you speaking English without your brain's permission. It's muscle memory. It's instinct. It's the same part of your brain that knows how to walk without thinking, how to ride a bicycle without calculating balance, how to drive without consciously remembering where the brake pedal is. But most English learners never get there. Why? Because they never stop the translating. They never make the identity shift from I am a learner trying to speak English to I am an English speaker. And that identity shift is everything. You see, confidence in English is not about knowing more grammar rules. Confidence is about your identity. When Ronaldo steps onto the field, he doesn't think, am I good enough? His identity is already decided. He's a footballer. He's a winner. His brain doesn't even consider other possibilities. English learners are the opposite. They walk into a conversation with their identity still uncertain. Part of them thinks, maybe I can't do this. Part of them is ready to apologize for their accent. Part of them is already preparing excuses for when they fail. And your brain listens to your identity.
If your identity is, I'm trying to learn English, your brain will perform like someone who's trying. Hesitant, slow, afraid. But if your identity is, I'm an English speaker, your brain will start performing like an English speaker. Confident, fast, automatic. The psychological shift is real. It's not positive thinking or fake confidence. It's literally rewiring which part of your brain controls your English output. Most people never do this shift because they're too focused on external things. They're focused on learning more vocabulary. They're focused on studying more grammar. They're focused on consuming more English content. And all of that is important, but it's useless if your brain's identity hasn't shifted. Think about a child learning their first language. The child doesn't study grammar. The child doesn't memorize vocabulary lists. The child's brain is in a different mode. It's in response mode. It's in reaction mode. The child hears something and immediately tries to repeat it and respond to it. And because of that, the child becomes fluent naturally.
But by the time you're learning English as an adult, you've been trained your entire life in a different mode. You've been trained in memory mode. You've been trained to think before you speak. You've been trained to be accurate and correct. And that training is actually blocking your path to real fluency. The secret that Ronaldo knows, and the secret that fluent English speakers know, is that you have to switch modes completely. You have to stop trying to be accurate and start trying to be fast. You have to stop trying to translate and start trying to respond. You have to stop thinking about what you're going to say and start reacting to what the other person is saying. And the moment you make that switch, something shifts in your confidence. Because now you're not walking into a conversation prepared with pre-written sentences. You're walking in alive. You're present. You're reacting. And that's where real confidence comes from. Not from knowing everything, but from being comfortable with not knowing everything and responding anyway. This is what separates fluent speakers from learners. It's not their vocabulary, it's their confidence. And confidence comes from one place only. It comes from the identity you've decided to own. I'm telling you this because I know that right now, somewhere inside you, there's a doubt. There's a small voice that says, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm too old. Maybe I have a bad accent. Maybe my grammar is too weak. That voice is just your old identity talking, and you don't have to listen to it anymore. Because fluency isn't about being perfect. Fluency is about being brave enough to be imperfect in front of others. It's about making the decision that you're done waiting to be perfect. You're done preparing. You're done studying. You're going to start speaking right now, today, in this moment. Because every great English speaker you admire wasn't always fluent. They were scared once too. They had a moment where they decided their identity was more important than their fear. They decided they were English speakers,
not English learners. And they spoke. And with every conversation, their brain rewired a little bit more. With every response they gave, their confidence grew a little bit stronger. With every mistake they made and survived, they realized that mistakes weren't fatal. They were just part of the process. That's when fluency became real for them. And it can become real for you too, because you already have the vocabulary. You've probably studied for years. You have the knowledge. What you don't have is the confidence. What you don't have is the identity. What you don't have is the willingness to abandon the safety of silence and step into the vulnerability of speaking. But that's all you need.
Everything else will follow. The moment you make that decision, your brain starts working differently. Your nervous system relaxes. Your thoughts become clearer. And words that seemed impossible to find are suddenly right there on your tongue. This is the secret that no school has ever told you, because schools are focused on knowledge. But fluency is not about knowledge. Fluency is about courage. Fluency is about identity. Fluency is about deciding right now that you're not a learner anymore. You're a speaker. You're someone who speaks English. And the moment you own that identity, the moment you stop asking for permission from your perfect grammar and your complete vocabulary, the moment you decide that imperfect action is better than perfect inaction, that's when everything changes. So right now, I want you to make that decision. I want you to look in the mirror and tell yourself, I am an English speaker. Not tomorrow, not when you know more words, not when your grammar is perfect. Today, right now, because your fluency is waiting for you on the other side of that decision, and the only person who can make it is you. If this message resonated with you, if you felt something shift inside you, I want you to like this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Comment down below what your biggest barrier to speaking English is, and subscribe to the channel, because we're going to go much deeper into the psychology of fluency, and I want you right there with me on this journey, because fluency isn't a destination, it's a state of mind, and you're already closer than you think.